So I'm basically unlimited in my setup, in my favorite setup. I can use it on Trinity or on 165. Hi fellow inline pilots, welcome back to the channel. My favorite skating setup, as you probably know if you've seen all of my other videos, is the 3x125. And the reason is that it's kind of the most similar that I've experienced to a hockey skate on ice, because it's agile, because it's rockered, and it's also very fast, and it's very effortless. It's like a gliding on ice. Somehow, from going from 110 to 125 millimeter wheels is a huge difference. It's like if I go back to 110 wheels, it's like I'm skating with a headwind or skating uphill. So I really love the 125/3, but I also want to have it rockered, because if it's just flat, it's not very agile, and it's already a bit heavy. So getting the rocker with it, for me, that's really a game changer. But somehow the only frame that I know that allows this is the Decode 90 frame from Iqon, which isn't even meant for it. It's meant to have 3x110 maximum wheels. But in the Trinity frame, what I had to do to make it work is, because you see the wheels are almost touching the boot, I had to put some rings in between the frame and the boot on one of my skates. I think I don't have them anymore. Well, I think it's on the other skate. Yeah, the other one has it. So it's so close that some of the skates, due to variability, they don't work without the washers. Like I put these washers in between the frame and the boot. Yeah, that makes a difference. So it's not much, but sometimes you need it. I also tried the 125/3 on the Harcore Evo from Powerslide, and the Iqon TR10, but then you get the middle wheel also touching the boot in the middle if you don't do anything. So then I had to add another washer, bigger one in the back, this one, underneath the back side, and then it would just be lifted just slightly enough to clear the middle of the boot, and then it would also work. So there was a solution to make something work that was not meant for it. But recently I decided I want some new skates, and I want to have a 165 mount, because it allows more sideways adjustment, and I want to have a boot that is like usable for slalom skating, which needs very precise balance on the front foot. So I want to be sure that I can balance the skate well, and because the Trinity mount has two mounts on the side, it's got less space for moving the frame sideways. So I want to get a 165 millimeter mount, but then I need another frame, which is sad because I already bought this one. But also I wasn't sure if I can actually fit the 3x125 wheels into that frame, because that frame doesn't have the bolts on the side like the Trinity. It has the bolt in the middle, which is where the front wheel is. So I wasn't sure if there was enough space for the front wheel in 125 millimeter wheel. And the only way to know about it is to try it. So I went actually to the This Is All skate shop, and they allowed me to put 125 wheels in the frame, the 165 mount frame, and it almost fitted. It didn't really quite fit, but I think I can make it fit. So I ordered the frames, and I'm running the risk that I have to modify it and maybe destroy the frame and still not able to use the wheels. But at least I can share my experience. So if it doesn't work, then you don't have to waste your money. I did it already, so let's see what happens. But actually, I tried to put them in without any modification, and actually it works. So it looks like it works, at least. Look, this is rotating fine, except maybe a little bit friction on the front wheel, like a lot. It's quite useful because you can actually carry your skate around on the front wheel without it swinging around. But for skating, nah, not really. So I'm going to have to do something to fix this, which I will do next. But first, it's interesting to see the difference between the Trinity frame and the 165 mount, which is one of the main advantages of the Trinity frame. You can really see it here. So yeah, as you saw, the wheel is right up against the boot, but in the 165 mount, you got these big mounting blocks between the boot and the frame, and therefore the wheels are 1 full centimeter further down. So that's the downside, literally, of the 165 mount, and that's the advantage of the Trinity mount. Some skates might have a little bit less distance between the mount and the skate, but there's always something, because there's only two mounting positions. The mounts have to also handle torsion. Well, if you got 3 triangle, it's stable even without having to deal with torsion. But this needs a lot of metal in the skate to handle that. So this is the downside, but in any case, it's high anyway with 125 millimeter wheels, so 1 centimeter more, maybe not going to make a huge difference. Also, some other things, you see that this is a size 42 skate, and it's actually fitting like a 41 for me. I'm 1 size bigger, but you see that the 3x125 is quite large, so probably this is not perfect, not ideal for people with smaller feet. But if you've got a larger feet, then it's really not a problem to have big wheels, as long as it's agile, which is this because of the rocker. Also, I can remove the rocker without taking my skates off by turning around the axle in the middle. So if I feel too unstable for like a downhill or something, or I'm getting tired and I don't want to constantly adjust my feet to keep my balance, then I can just take the middle. I don't even have to take it out completely. I just take off the bolt on one side, slide it out 0.5 centimeter, turn it around, put it back in, and then I've got a flat frame, which is very stable for high speed. So it will go fast even with the rocker, but if you really want stability, you can quickly get it by changing the rocker into a flat setup. So that's also something I really like about this frame. So I'm really surprised that there are no other frames on the market right now that support 3x125 with the shortest wheelbase and a rocker. But in any case, let's see if we can make this one work by adapting the frame. So the problem where the wheel is touching the frame is here at the edge of the mount, the bridge between the two sides of the frame. It's just clearing the mount of the skate boot itself, and it's also just clearing the bolt. But in order to clear the bolt, I had to leave out the washer that was underneath the bolt. It's still on the back side. Here I had to leave it out. I don't think it's a problem, because you can tighten the bolt enough without the washer to prevent it from loosening, or use some extra Loctite on the thread of the bolt if it's a problem. So this is good. I was actually thinking about using the bolts that were included with the Iqon frame, which have a much smaller diameter of the head, but they were M6, and this skate actually requires a 7mm bolt. So I had to use the bolts included with the skate, which have a very wide head, but luckily it doesn't touch the wheel. It's really only the edge of the frame itself. So in order to get rid of that edge, I'm going to use a file. It needs to be a round file. It would be preferable to have a slightly bigger one, wider one than this, but I don't have any bigger one. So I'm going to use this. I think it should work. But first I want to protect the frame where I don't want to remove any material, using some duct tape. So I got some tape here. I'm going to put it on the inside of the frame, because I'm sure that I will slide out when I'm filing and make some scratches. And because it's this dark frame, if you scratch it, it becomes silver, and then you can clearly see scratches. So I don't want to have that happening. Even though it's the inside, it's not going to be very visible. I just want to not make more damage than I need to. Okay, so I've taped up the frame, and I left out the part where I need to put in the wheel, so that I can put it in to try if I removed enough material or not, and get it out again and continue. Here you can see I'm pushing the wheel all the way as far as it goes without putting a lot of pressure, and you can see there's like a millimeter a little bit more than a millimeter, I think, to go. And it's also important to see which angle I need to file. If I look at the wheel tangent around the edge, it's like this. So this is the angle I need to hold my file to remove the least amount of material in order to free up the wheel. So let's go and remove some material. So like this. I'm going a little bit left and right because the file is not exactly the same like a curvature as the wheel. The wheel is a bit larger, so I need to go a little bit left and right as well. Alright, let's see. I don't think that will be enough, but I just want to have a look and see what's changed. I think I'm halfway. Alright, let's continue. I noticed that I had to go sideways when making a stroke in order to not... In the beginning I felt a little bit of a bump in the middle, so I had to actually two notches on both sides. So I need to kind of go sideways when I make a stroke to not get a bump in the middle, which is where I need to remove the most of the material. Okay, let's have a look. It's not perfectly symmetrical. Nobody's going to see that anyway. Okay, it looks almost like it's done now, but I'm sure that it will not rotate freely. But let's just give it a try. Yeah, let's continue a little bit more. Okay. All right, let's give it another try. Yeah, it doesn't feel very different from before. Strange. I need to work harder. Okay. I applied a little bit more force. Let's see. Yeah, no. Let's see where it's touching. Actually, I don't need to remove much more from the sides, just the middle basically. It's hard to keep it smooth. It's always like the file wants to, it searches for a small like a notch where it just locks in and then doesn't move around anymore. A little bit more. A little bit more. So I don't know really how to prevent, I mean, if the file would have been a little bit wider, it would have been easier. But I have to make sure to go sideways, not to get stuck in one position and then file away without getting a big enough diameter of gap. Yeah, starting to get hot now myself. Alright, let's see. Okay. Oh, still not there. Let's see. Alright, very close, very close. Can't give up now. Now it's needing to have torques. I hope that's it. No, very close now. Just a little bit more. Just checking whether that's not the tape. I think it's the tape, probably. Not the frame actually, so I probably didn't need to go further than that. Just need to get rid of the tape now. It's harder to get rid of the tape than I thought. Okay. Some residue still left there. I was a bit worried maybe I would scratch this. I think I did actually scratch it, so I should have put some more tape on there. Here it's scratched because I had to go under an angle. Okay, no, that's something you learn by doing it, I guess. I could have maybe predicted that, but yeah, I should have put up a couple of more layers on here of tape. I don't really feel bad about it because you don't see it, but you know, I just wanted to be perfect and could have been better. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's see if I'm right, and it was actually the tape. I think it's done now. Yep, that's it. The only thing I hear is the bearing itself, but for the rest it's not touching the frame anymore. So yeah, that's perfect. Now the other one. I have to do the same again for the other side, of course. So does this weaken the frame? Well, yes, of course. Less material means that it's less strong. But I don't think overall it makes a big difference. There's plenty of material between the two sides here. And also, I removed material, so that makes the frame lighter. So the frame doesn't need to carry so much weight anymore. Therefore, it doesn't need to be so strong. Of course, that's a joke. But in any case, I don't think it's going to make a big difference for the strength of the frame. But let's first put this skate back together and see if everything is functioning as I expected. There's a little bit of room to go back and forth, so I'll push it all the way to the front to make space as much as possible between the wheel and the bolt. Trying to center it. Of course, if I put it sideways, the frame, to adjust it, it would be a bit more out of the middle of the wheel. That would actually clear the wheel, but I want to have the worst case scenario, which is having the bolt exactly in the middle. The downside of not having the washer is that if I turn the bolt, it tends to shift the frame sideways. Alright. Should be as close as possible. This is the Rockered axle, which is sometimes a bit difficult to get in. I need to make it sure. Oh, it's pointing 90 degrees the wrong direction. I want to have the arrow down. Then, okay, got it. Alright. Let's see if we can clear. Oh, I don't see. It's not clear. I hear it's rubbing something, and so I wonder if that's the frame or the bolt. Of course it wasn't the frame, but it could be the mount of the skate. Okay. Let's see if I can push it a bit more forwards. Otherwise I have to either wear down the wheels or put it in the front thread of the skate, if it's the mount. If it's the bolt, I don't really have a solution right now. I could try a smaller bolt, but I don't have one that fits this skate. So I just tried to push the frame a little bit more forwards when I tightened the bolts of the frame. Yeah, it's still slightly, I don't know if you can hear that, slightly rubbing, which is okay, but I want it perfect. So yeah, I could just like grind off a little bit, like very tiny layer of the wheel, then it should solve the problem. Or try moving the frame to the front position to just see if it's the bolt or it's the mount of the boot, like this part of the boot. Let me see, I need to get this. Don't want to damage the bolt, it's a different type. This is the hex, while the frame, the axles have torques. So now I'm going to put the frame in the forward position, and if the sound is then gone, that would mean that the problem was the mount of the boot. If the sound is still there, that would mean I need to get a smaller bolt. I can't get the bolt in all the way. I think the bolt hole of the skate is not clear. Something is inside, I guess. Don't know. Don't see anything. Strange. Should be deep enough, I think. Maybe it's just the way it was threaded, not completely like smooth on the inside. Just try, see if I can apply some more force and then hopefully not break anything. Okay, yeah, now I got it tight. Okay. Now let's go and see the result. Oh, that's not good. No. Maybe the bolt wasn't tight after all. Interesting. Or maybe I didn't push the frame to the front. I can't really tighten the bolt all the way. Yeah, I don't get it. Well, what's going on? Maybe it's the angle of the bolt hole or something. Okay, I don't think I can solve it right now without getting a smaller bolt, which I don't have for this size of the frame mount on the boot. But I could try a side bolt, side hole. Like this frame, I wanted to put it a little bit more to the outside anyway, so I can use this hole here, and then I can slide the frame a little bit more to the inside again. Somehow it's not grabbing the thread. So I can put the frame almost in the middle by sliding the frame back to the middle. So for me that would be okay, but I think the best solution would be to have a smaller bolt head. Right, let's try like that. So because the bolt is now to the side, it should clear. I don't have it as much to the front anymore as with the front hole of the middle hole of the mount of the boot. All right. Yep, done it. That does it. So yeah, the bolt is a little bit too large for this frame with the 125mm wheels. Yeah, if I look in the package of the Iqon frame, there were some bolts included, like these. They're smaller, but the thread is also too small, so I wouldn't be able to use them. I can just press them all the way in. So yeah, that won't work. I need to get some. I think it's probably an M7, but you can't be sure because there can be also different types. Doesn't have to be a metric system. Yeah. Anyway, so this would be a solution: putting the bolt to the side or wearing down the wheels a little bit. I don't think it needs to be much smaller. I don't like that solution because I just want to use the wheels as they are. Yeah, or putting the bolt to the side also works apparently. Alright, so just to clarify the difference in bolt size, so this is the bolt that came with the skate that is needed for the mount of the boot, and this is the bolt that came with the Iqon frame. This is an M6 and this is a 7mm. I'm not sure if it's an M or not. But then the head difference is it's like that. So if I measure the sizes, the Iqon bolt M6 one is a little bit more than 13mm wide, but there's also an edge, so the head itself is even a little bit less wide. And then this bolt that came with the boot is like 15mm diameter. So the difference is 2 in the diameter. That means it's 1mm in the radius. That will be like towards the wheel. And this is just slightly too large if it's in the middle of the frame. So it either has to be offset, and then the frame, it's like you can offset it in one of the side threads of the mount if you got a mount with 7 threads, and then push the frame back over the slot in the frame itself. So the frame itself has this slot, so you can slide it. Of course the bolt goes from the other side, but so if you can put a bolt in the side hole and then push the frame back to the middle, then the bolts is a little bit more off center, and then it clears the wheel. Or you have to get a bolt with a smaller head. If you got a smaller thread, then you can use this. If you got an M6 thread on your boot, if you got a 7mm, you have to find if there's another bolt that's got a smaller head than 15mm. Also, it shouldn't, of course, be thicker than this. This is also quite flat. If the bolt is higher, then it was also a problem. And the third option would be to wear down the wheel, which I don't like, because yeah, you want to start with new wheels as they are, and you don't want to wear them down just to be able to skate. So yeah, there's some issue with the bolt that you have to deal with, maybe. There might of course also be variability in the actual diameter of the wheels. So I'm not sure if there might be other 125mm wheels which might be slightly larger than this, and since it's so close, that might mean that it wouldn't work. But at least I got like other rollerblade hydrogen wheels that I can try. I think this is a little bit worn down more than this one, so maybe it will not work with this. Let's see. No, it doesn't. So, even with the bolt offset, still there's not enough space. Okay, I tried without the bolt, and actually it still doesn't turn, so maybe the problem is not the bolt, but actually the frame. I need to grind it out a little bit more for these wheels. No, not yet. I think the angle needs to be a bit more like this way. Yeah, the angle wasn't really right. I had to push the file a little bit more down. I was filing like this, but I should have done it a bit more like that. So I could have kept some more material. Well, it's not going to be much difference anyway. So now this clears the frame. Let's try again with the bolt. With these wheels. So I'm going to use this hole with the bolt to the side. Yep, that clears it. So the problem was actually not the bolt this time, it was actually the frame. So that also works. And these wheels are quite new. I mean, not completely, but I can still feel the small edge here. So you don't need to wear down your wheels a lot to make this fit. There might be other wheels that are slightly larger. So yeah, it's a bit of a hit and miss. I can't guarantee that it works for every 125mm wheels, but because there might be variability in the actual diameter. If it's only like 1/10 of a millimeter more, then it might already rub. But then even then you can always wear them down a little bit, and maybe artificially by using a grinder or whatever. But in any case, it works in this for these two wheels. Phew, wow, that was a little bit more challenging than I expected it to be. But yeah, this is the result. So I got my my frame ready to use for the 3x125 wheels. Mistakes were made. I could have done it better, easier. Well, one of the things was like the filing angle was a bit too steep. The other one was that I didn't have another bolt, which was smaller. Also, I had some problems getting the bolt into the other holes of the frame mount because maybe it wasn't threaded completely smoothly, or there was some glue in the thread. I don't know. I couldn't get it easily all the way in without the washer because I need to get it in extra deep. That was a bit of a challenge. Yeah, but overall, I mean, putting the bolt to the side, for me it's okay, and still quite centered, even though I use a side thread of the mount of the frame. I put it back, the frame, in, towards the middle, and it's almost in the middle. I don't even need to have it in the middle. I want to put it a little bit to the side, so for me I'll probably even push it a little bit back. But if you have a boot that doesn't have any side mounting holes, it's only got a center hole, then of course putting the bolt to the side is not an option. So then you either have to get a smaller bolt head or grind down your wheels or wear them down. So yeah, I wish I could say this is very easy and everybody can do it. I'm sure you can do it, and hopefully it will be easier if you see what I did and prevent the mistakes that I did. Yeah, otherwise I don't know, for me it's worth it, and I'm glad that I got it now. So I'm basically unlimited in my setup, in my favorite setup. I can use it on Trinity or on a 65. So for me, perfect. I don't know if it hopefully it helps other people as well. In any case, thank you for watching this. Sorry it was longer than it maybe needed to be. In any case, thanks, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this stuff, watching me break things, maybe, hopefully not too much, then subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.